Good morning, students. I begin with part 3 of Chief Seattle's speech. We had done in the previous class that Chief Seattle is quite sentimental about the thought of giving his land to the white people, but he's left with no alternative because the number of his people in his tribe has gone very low, and he has no other provision of fighting with them or to withstand the white people because they are very large in number. So he agrees on the proposal, and you can say he's trying to still ponder on the thought that whether he should let his land sell or not. And for this he gives lot of explanation and lot of reasons where the white people are trying to convince him that both of them are as brothers to each other. I move further in the chapter today. I start with the next line. It says, "He gave you laws but had no word for his red children, whose teeming multitudes once filled this vast continent as stars fill the firmament. No, we are two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. There is little in common between us." Last chapter, or you can say the last class I had done with you, where he is talking about the relation of God with his children, and he claims and he says that the God whom they say is one for both of them is not. He says the God whom you say is the father of both of us is totally different, and he is partial because he favors you and doesn't favors us. He is always there for you and he is never ready to help us. He listens to you, and he had no word for his red children. No word means he has nothing to say to his red children, whose teeming multitude means whose number was so large once on this vast continent. As stars fill the firmament. Firmament means sky. The number was so big. Multitudes, the word he used, means to say when we were so large in number, then how come you did not support us, and today we have lost our dear ones and become less. He says we are two distinct, different races of different origin. Our cultures are different, and so is our destiny, our future. We don't have same future coming up for us. You have a different future, and for us, he feels that there is no future at all. We are almost on the verge of ending. He says there is little in common between us. Very little is left for us to be in common. He says to us the ashes of our ancestors are sacred, and their resting place is hallowed ground. Hallowed means holy ground. He says for us, our deads, our ancestors, and the place where they are buried is sacred. Resting place means the cremation ground, or the place where they are buried. That means this land is really holy for us, sacred for us. You wander far from the graves of your ancestors and seemingly without regret. And he says you people have left your departed souls or your ancestors' graves far away. That must be in their homeland. So he is saying that you have left your ancestors far away. You are not connected with them. Seemingly means apparently I feel, I'm 100% sure that you don't have any regret of this. But for us, we have a lot of affection with our ancestors and this land. Your religion was written upon tablets of stone. That's a biblical reference because Moses was given a stone tablet by God on which the commandments, the rules were written. And he says here, by the iron finger of your God. Iron finger means something which is written with surety and with 100% guarantee that this only is the word of the God, or this only has to be followed. And then he says, so that you could not forget. He did so because you do not forget it. It has been engraved on the stones. He says the red man could never comprehend or remember it. But for our tribe, the words are not the only religion. For us, this nature is the religion. We can't remember, we can't learn those things. For us, where we live, where we die, that is our religion. Then he says, our religion is the tradition of our ancestors. What our ancestors have taught us, this is our tradition. The dreams of our old men, given them in solemn hours of the night by the Great Spirit. Great Spirit means the spirits of the ancestors. They have a lot of ceremonies, a lot of rituals. Solemn hours means holy hours, ceremonial hours, when we have connection with our great spirits, with the spirits of our ancestors. What instruction they give us, we follow those. And the visions of the sachems and is written in the hearts of our people. Sachems means the leaders, the boss. Whatever our leaders say, we follow that, and it is engraved in our hearts. We keep it in our hearts till the time we are alive and follow them. Your dead cease to love you, and the land of their nativity as soon as they pass the portals of the tomb and wander away beyond the stars. He says, your dead means your ancestor. Stop this connectivity of soul to soul, and they stop loving you the moment they leave the land and their families, go into the tomb, they die. Portal means the gateways, the doors. The moment they enter into the tombs are the graves. When the moment they are entered inside that, or whenever they are buried, after that they go above in the sky and become stars. But for us, this is not the scenario. Our ancestors stay with us here on this land as trees and valleys and mountains and rocks and rivers. But your ancestors, the moment they die, their love and connection with you and their land, their own native land, comes to an end. And then he says, they are soon forgotten and never return. Very soon you also forget them, and they never come back. Our dead never forget this beautiful world that gave rivers, its magnificent mountains, sequestered vales and verdant lines lake, and bays and ever yearn in tender fond affection over the lonely hearted living, and often return from the happy hunting ground to visit, guide, console, and comfort them. He says that our dead never forget this beautiful world that gave them life. Being means life. They still love its green valleys. Can you see the valleys? The green valleys. Its murmuring rivers. Murmuring means the low sound of water. The huge magnificent mountains. Sequestered vales, isolated valleys, places. Verdant lined lake. Verdant means again, can you see this green color? Pastures on the banks of the river, that is green lined lakes and bays, and ever yearns in tender care, and they are always craving for tender love and affection over their people around the surrounding, and often return from happy hunting grounds. They have come back to us. Those holy souls have come back to us to visit us, to guide us, to console us, pacify us at the time of difficulty, to comfort. So he's saying our ancestors have not gone anywhere like the ancestors of the white. Our ancestors are here in the rivers. They are around here to see all these things. We feel them around us. He says, day and night cannot dwell together. Dwell means cannot live together. It is not possible. The red man has ever fled the approach of the white man, as the morning mist flees before the morning sun. He says day and night cannot stay together. If you are day, we are night. And the red man has always fled. Fled means run away whenever the whites have approached. Like when the morning comes, when the sun comes out, the mist, that is the fog in the morning, it goes away. The moment the sun starts shining brightly, all that fog of all that mist is all over. He says, however, your proportions seem fair, and I think that my people will accept it and will retire to the reservation you offer them. He says, whatever it may be, your theories, your plans, your policies seems okay to me. He says fair means okay to me. And I think that my people will accept it and will move to the place whichever you allot to them. Then we will dwell apart in peace, for the words of the great white chief seem to be the words of nature speaking to my people out of dense darkness. He says, we will stay apart. We will not intermingle with each other. And that is the only best option, because then we will be at peace. Because we believe that the words of the great white chief are like the words of nature, who was speaking to my people from dense darkness. And then he says, it matters little where we pass the remnant of our days. They will not be many. He says, it yes does matter to us. It matters very little to us where we passed the leftover days of our life. Why? Because we are very less in number. Whatever little we have, we are satisfied with it. We are not fighting, we are not agitating, we are not arguing. But we want to live in our land with respect, rights and honor. The Indian's night promises to be dark. He knows it very well. There is no future for us. We'll never grow. So our nights are all dark. Not a single star of hope hovers above his horizon. Hovers means remain in the air for some time, like the hovering of a chopper. He says there is no hope for us, not even a single hope I can see in the sky that can revive my tribe and my community. Sad voiced winds moan in the distance, means the sound of the winds have become sad. And I can hear those sad winds crying from a far distance. Grim fate seems to be on the red man's trail. I can only see sadness following in series behind the red man. And wherever he will hear the approaching footsteps of his fell destroyer and prepare stolidity to meet his doom. as does the wounded doe that hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter. He says, whenever he hears the footsteps of his fell destroyer means of the white coming, he prepares himself stolidly. Stolidly means becomes calm with no emotions and expressions, and wait for his death. Like a wounded doe is a female deer. The moment she hears the sound of the hunters, she becomes calm and quiet. She is wounded, she has no option of survival. She knows she is going to die, and she becomes quiet. Same is the condition of the white people, of the red man. A few more moons, a few more winters, and not one of the descendants of the mighty host that once moved over this broad land or lived in happy homes, protected by the Great Spirit, will remain to mourn over the graves of a people once more powerful and hopeful than yours. That means few days left, few seasons left for the successors, for the coming generation of this mighty clan who ruled over this large, extensive country and were protected by the great spirits. They will all be finished. There will be no one to mourn, to cry over the graves of the people who were more powerful and hopeful than yours, means the white people. But why should I mourn at the untimely fate of my people? He said, why should I cry? Why should I crib? Why should I feel sad about this untimely, before time fate of my people? Tribes follow tribes, and nation follows nation, like the waves of the sea. He says, one tribe will vanish, the next will come. One nation will vanish and the other will come, like the waves of the sea. It is the order of the nature, and regret is useful. And then he strongly says, your time of decay may be distant, but it will surely come. For even the white man whose God walked and talked with him as a friend, to friend cannot exempt from the common destiny. We may be brothers after all. We will be. He says, your time will also come when you will diminish. And surely it will come, and not now, but someday. Even the white man whose God walked and talked with him as a friend cannot be exempted from the destiny of death. You call us brothers, that means our future is same. We will see. We will ponder your proportion, and when we decide, we will let you know. Ponder means we'll think over your proposal, and once we have decided, then I'll let you know. But should we accept it? I here and now make this condition that we will not be denied the privilege without molestation of visiting at any time the tombs of our ancestors, friends and children. He says, I here and now make this condition that I should, or my tribe should not be denied, refused from the privilege of visiting our dead, the tombs of our ancestors, of our friends, of our children, the grave of our dear ones. He says, every part of this soil is sacred. He says, in the estimation of my people, every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy event in days long vanished. He says every single part of this land is holy for us. For we are connected to this land, not as human being to land, but to soul to soul. Every hillside, every valley, every plain, every woods are honored by some maybe sad or happy events of our lives which have now vanished away. And then he says, even the rocks which seem to be dumb and dead as they swelter in the sun, swelter means heated up, along the silent shore, thrill with memories of stirring evidence, connected with the lives of my people. Every single thing here, the rocks, the hills, the mountains, we are connected with these things with a lot of memories, stirring a lot of happiness in us. And the very dust upon which you now stand responds more lovingly to their footsteps than yours. And this land, this place where you are standing at moment, the dust here has more connection with us. More lovingly they welcome us than you, because it is rich with the blood of our ancestors. We have lived here. This land is our mother. It has grown us up with affection, with care, and it is rich with our ancestors' blood. And bare feet are conscious of this empathetic touch. And when we are walking on them barefoot, we can feel the sympathy and the love of our ancestors here on this land, which you don't feel. And then he says, our departed braves, fond mothers, glad, happy-hearted maidens, and even the little children who lived here and rejoiced here for a brief season. That means the ladies, the women, the maidens, the mothers, the children who have lived here for a very short time span will love these somber solitudes. Somber means silent, solemn solitudes, means loneliness. And at eventide, they greet shadowy, returning spirits. And when the evening approaches, they greet the shadows of our dead, the spirits of our dead. And when the last red man shall have perished, and the memory of my tribe shall have become a myth among the white men, these shores will swarm with the invisible dead of my tribe. He says, even when the last red man shall have died, perished means died, and the memory of my tribe had become like a myth. Myth means something which is not real. What will happen? The shores will be filled up. Swamp means will be filled up with the invisible dead of my tribe. The spirits of my red man will be here. And when your children's children think themselves alone in the field, the store, the shop, upon the highway, or in the silence of the pathless woods, they will not be alone. And when your children think that they are all alone playing in the field, store, shop, highway, or on the silence of the pathless woods, they will not be alone. In all the earth, there is no place dedicated to solitude. There is no place where you can find this purity, sanctity. Solitude means calm, serene conditions. And then he says, at night, when the streets of your cities and villages are silent and you think them deserted, they will throng with the returning hosts that once filled them and still love this beautiful land. He says at the night when you feel and you believe that your streets in the cities and the villages are silent and you think they are deserted, they will be not. What will happen? The white man will never be alone. That time also the streets will throng. Throng means they will be densely packed with crowd of people. Who are these people? The returning hosts. Who are the hosts? Persons who receive the guest. And here who is the guest? You are the guest. This land belongs to us. You will see my people here. You will notice my people all around. You will never be alone. Let him be just and deal kindly with my people, for the dead are not powerless. He says, tell the great chief to be humble and kind to my people, for the dead are not powerless. The spirits which come down of my people will be stronger than yours. And in the end he says, dead? Did I say? There is no death, only a change of worlds. He says there is no death. He says, did I say dead? And then he assures it to say, there is no death. He doesn't believe in the concept of end of life. He believes in the change of the realms of life from one world to another. He says, we may not have a physical appearance, but our soul and our spirits will live here forever and ever. This land is ours. This is our home. We belong to it and it belongs to us. Today we may give it to you, but only for looking after. Home remains home to their owners, not to the guests. With this, I come to the end of this chapter, Chief Seattle's speech. Thank you and have a nice day.